And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Dedicated to sharing knowledge and understanding surrounding his cultural teaching, Marcel Gagnon was instrumental in bringing the indigenous court system to Prince George. On today's Open Connection, Marcel Gagnon.
Laidley Tene means where the two rivers meet, the Nechako and the Fraser River in Prince George. And my language, Tsa, means beaver. I'm from the Beaver clan.
Or when did you become interested in music?
You know, it's funny. My sister gave me a whole bunch of black and white pictures of my childhood. I couldn't believe it. There was one picture, I think it was maybe 3 years old, and I had a little plastic guitar. And I thought, oh my God, I always wondered why. A lot of my brothers played guitar and that, but they were mostly visual artists, carvers and whatnot. I'm the only one who really went off. My brother Peter too, he played guitar and sang a lot. When I did get that first nomination, I think what was so crazy about the whole thing was that I've always played music in bars. I actually played Paris bars a lot, by the way. Anyhow, I thought, you know, this is music. This is what it's all about. And one night when I'm playing, some guy in a suit's going to walk in and say, I want to sign you to a contract for this stupid stuff that people think. And that's what I believed. Anyhow, that guy never came along, by the way. One guy did, but he was broke and he needed money. But anyhow, I started to realize that that's not what music is about. And believe it or not, Robert, it was the drum. When I first heard the drum, I would never race around it or anything. But when I heard it and the sound of it went through into my body, it was like something woke up inside me that I had to follow and find out what it was. It was, to me, it was the awakening of that ancient people, our ancestors, through music that awakened that in me and said, this is who you are. And I think that's what led to me just following and pursuing music. I wrote that first album, Crazy Maker album, out at a lake like this.
Crazy Maker is an interesting title. How did that come about?
Actually, Crazy Maker was an expression of a guy that in a studio who we were negotiating with to do a demo album. And he said, I'm reading a book because we were talking about Benny Hulo. And amongst my people, Benny Hulo is that other spirit that tries to trip you up. Some people call him the trickster and everything. But this Benny Hulo is much worse than that. He wants to destroy you. So we were talking about that. And I said, that thing will drive you crazy if you listen to me. It'll make you crazy. And the guy said, you know, I got a book that talks about that. He calls it Crazy Maker, the Crazy Maker. So I borrowed the book and I read it. And I thought, okay, this is Benny Hulo. This is Crazy Maker. So that's, in my mind, that's who Benny Hulo and that Crazy Maker album is. It's about that other spirit. So the songs, even though they're jazz, rock, country, everything, it's about the core of each of those songs is about that thing.
Tell me about that first time when you heard your song on the radio.
Wow. Oh my God. It's like, what the heck? No. I was driving along when I heard it the first time. I went, what the? This is crazy. I'm on the radio. Oh my God. It was a beautiful experience. Very exciting for me.
This isn't without its battles because you have something that's called fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. You know that. I'm glad you asked that, Robert, because music, people always say, you think you'll ever make it in music? Well, I think I made it a long time ago. But people have the impression that making it in music you're always on TV, you're on a red carpet, you're getting off your own little jet and you got this endless amount of money. No, to me, success in music is the doors that it opened for me. It opened up doors to the Olympics, to an organization that helped me reveal to myself that all my struggles in life, academically at school, and all these patterns and addictive behavior, dysmaturity, impulsivity, perseveration. I never knew anything about these things. But through that music, it opened the path and I was led to these places. And that's where I first discovered.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. There is no safe time to drink alcohol during pregnancy. Alcohol can cause problems for the developing baby throughout pregnancy, including before a woman knows she is pregnant. Let us return to this conversation as Marcel shares about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
I'm struggling with addictive behavior. Where does it come from? Yeah, treatment centers will say this and that, and they're great and everything, but this got to the very core of it. I have addictive behavior because and I had no blame, no shame on my mom, nothing like that ever on any woman. But the core of it, my struggles in life are all based on the fact that my mom drank when she was pregnant with me. Now they're finding out that fathers drinking can cause those things as well. So it's a whole societal thing. I don't know. I'm hearing different stories, Robert, but I hear that possibly up to 70-80% maybe of all inmates in prisons are suspected to have FASD. That's staggering. I volunteered through music. They asked me to come in and do a little for these guys in jail, and I did that. And you know what? When I was in there, I was looking around and meeting these men, and I kept thinking, my God, they're like me. They're going through the same struggles I went through. And that's when I started to really piece it together and say, okay, there's something going on here. And it was FASD. Impulsivity is one of the big issues that we struggle with. Is you see something and you just need it, and you don't know how to save money, and oh my gosh, you think about that when you don't know how to save money and you're so impulsive, and you're going to have problems with buying proper food to eat, paying your rent. There's all these things these men struggle with. Is the same as my battles before. But the beauty of it is, how can you change something if you don't learn about it? And that was the beauty of FASD, was that I learned about it. And then I learned how to manage it. No, it's never going to change because it's permanent brain damage. It will never change, but I've learned how to manage my life now.
And were you able to help those that were incarcerated on say, hey, this is what I did, give it a try?
Yeah, I hope that I did. They gave me the Solicitor General's Award one year for my work with those men, and that was such a humbling experience, because one of the things that I notice about being Indigenous with our history is that you always feel no self-worth. It's like, what did I do to deserve this? Come on, you guys, I don't deserve this. And I had to struggle through that. But in the end, I now say, maybe I didn't save the world, but if I had an influence and an effect on a couple of men and helped change their direction in life, then I've done a great thing.
Those that you met while they were incarcerated, did you meet them outside the walls?
Oh yeah, I kind of got in a bit of trouble with that with those guys, because I would say, what good is a sweat lodge to a man who needs supper? I could have said, they say, Marcel, I haven't eaten for a couple of days. I see him on the street. What good am I if I say, oh, okay, yeah, brother, I'll pray for you? No. So I say, come on, let's go and have a burger or something. Feed them. And the way the rules and guidelines are set up and corrections is that you can't do that, Marcel. And I could see, yeah, because there's safety concerns and everything with me, but yeah, I just I violated some of those boundaries, I guess. But I have no regrets because I see those guys now. One of them owns a great big company, and he actually hires guys who are getting out on parole. Um, Gee, 5 or 6 of these guys in the last 10 years that I've watched, it's it's just to know that I played a little part in it means so much to me. And so, yeah, I did the right thing.
How did it come about that you became a elder in residence?
At UNBC. Yeah, that. You know what I'd like to think, Robert, is that my mom would say, just go out there and live life. She'd always say, life is short. Go out and do something provincially for 4 or 5 years, and then I just one day I couldn't handle the doors slamming on everything anymore, and all staff code yellow, blah, that kind of stuff got to me. I just said, okay, I've had enough. I have to move on. So I moved from there to a different environment, still doing corrections work. And I felt after I brought everything I could to the table, it's time for me to go. And that's how so yeah, UNBC contacted me and asked me if I would be interested. It was supposed to be for a month, and it was 3 years. As of yesterday, 3 years. Like, really? So it's a whole different environment than what I've worked in all my life.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. An elder in residence is an Indigenous person who adopts the role of surrogate grandmother or grandfather and is available on campus to counsel students, faculty, and staff for mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health needs from a holistic Indigenous perspective. Let us return to the conversation as Marcel shares about his first days as elder in residence at UNBC. What'd you do? Just offer tea and bannock, or?
I should have. That's a good idea. No, when I went there, and oh my God, I was so intimidated. But I guess because of my age and everything, the intimidation didn't show the way it would if I was 20 years old. So I was just a cool, laid-back kind of guy, and they welcomed me and everything. But little did they know that my legs were trembling, and I was so intimidated by being there, thinking, oh my God, I've got grade 9. What am I doing here? This elder in residence probably has degrees and everything. No, they wanted my life experience and all these different things that are the other half of science, that needs that balance, I guess. So I fit.
That first meeting with some of the students, did they come to you asking you about academic stuff, or they just needed to talk to an elder?
Yeah, no, they would come to me because the international students would come and talk to me because they wanted to know about natives in North America and one of them was, why do you guys do welcomes to the territory? They couldn't understand that. So I had a discussion with the president, Jeff, on camera one day, and we talked about why we do welcomes and everything. But a lot of that was those general questions from international students. From the actual Indigenous students there, it was more about, Marcel, could we drum today or next week? So we got 3 or 4 great big powwow drums that are just beautiful drums. We'd take them into the gathering place and host a great big lunch for the students, all free for them. And I'd go to the drum, and then I'd just invite students up who wanted to come. I'm telling you, Robert, that is such a powerful thing. I never really understood the power of the drum at that level until I was in that environment at the university, watching a couple of the students from Germany were drumming, and they broke down crying as they were drumming. I asked them if they were okay when we finished the song. The one girl said, I felt like something inside me woke up, something old, I can't explain it. And I knew exactly what she meant. But yeah, that's kind of what my role was. And virtual smudging online, I'd have a feather here, I'd take my feather and would be having there's people from Brazil and all over the world, and I'd say, handing this feather off to so-and-so from it, and then they would talk. It's beautiful the semester. But that's the kind of stuff that Elder in Residence does.
Mm-hmm. And I guess they appreciated you there at UNBC, because then I guess you graduated. Would that be a right word? Or?
Well, they're giving me an honorary degree. That's another whole thing. That was just last week, Robert. They made the announcement on did the media release, and oh my gosh, it was like I was getting phone calls from all these radio stations and TV stations like Robert Pictou from Terrace and everybody. I was getting all these calls from all over the place, and at the end of the day, it was like, what the heck was that all about? The next day, that evening, I was battling between all this news and everything, and the fact that the elections are coming up tomorrow, and I'm running for council, and oh my gosh! And then they were reading out the vote count, and I had won a council position. So it was like, in 2 days, my whole world did a 360. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Not bad for a guy who used to sing in bars all the time, huh?
Yeah. Isn't that something, eh? It just, to me, it's like, if you're meant to go somewhere, I don't want to go out there and try to work my way into something and drive myself crazy and stress myself up because I want to be there so bad. Maybe I've come to the point where maybe that's not for me, so I'm not going to even pursue that. If by chance I go around that bend in the lake and I think what I'm looking for is over there and it's not, and then all of a sudden that over there has moved, well, then I say, okay, I'll take a walk down that path, see what it brings.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Bands are led by band councils comprised of a chief and counselors, who are elected by band members typically every 2 years under the election procedures defined by the Indian Act, or alternatively by custom election codes also authorized under the Indian Act. In this final segment of Open Connection, Marcel shares how many people voted for him when he first ran for council.
The one time that I ran for council, I got 2 votes. and I put a thing on Facebook saying, I demand to know who voted for me. Who are those 2 people? I want to buy you a coffee. Anyhow, it was crazy.
Did you find out who they were?
No, I didn't. It was funny though. I just thought, oh my God, 2 people voted for me. Everybody else were getting 100 and some votes, and I got 2, which was good. It was kind of, yeah, you got an attitude, Marcel. I'm going to trim you down there a little bit. It certainly did that.
Now, we're talking to you in one of your comfort zones, it seems, because you're not in the city per se. You're actually out in the bush, right?
I am way out in the bush at the very end of the road. The hydro ends maybe half a kilometer back there. And this summer, they're going to shut, forestry is going to deregulate or something, whatever they call that. So you can't go through here anymore because the traffic, the pipeline, all that activity is just over here, not too far away. So, but there's none of that traffic going through here. But there's still a lot of And I don't mind it. It's just that it takes away from the privacy of this beautiful lakefront that we have here. But it's been 2 years now that I've been out here, and it's hard life, Robert. I'm so glad I just watched the days get longer, and it's so exciting and so simple and so natural, but it's an excitement and a beautiful peace comes over you to say those days of 4 o'clock in the afternoon and dark until 8 the next morning are gone. That made it all worth it, but I think I have to move on now. Like I said earlier, it's time to do something different.
So do you have any plans, or you just kind of throw it up to the creator saying, hey, just give me some signposts as we go along?
Kind of both. I'd like to just get a nice little RV. I'd like to put my sound system in it and take my little dog. I still got about 3,000 CDs that I've never sold, and throw them in my RV and just drive along and stop at a little town like Telqua and put my sound system outside and just play my guitar. And people want to throw $5 or a loonie, I don't care. Some of that pay for my gas. I just want to go.
So it sounds like from a person who seemed anxious all the time, had that inner turmoil, you actually found some inner peace.
Yes, absolutely. I think, Robert, that inner peace came from getting to know and understand my prenatal alcohol exposure. That was the core of it. I always, if you don't know the science behind something, we have a tendency to put it in the spiritual realm. And it's easier to understand when it's seen through spiritual eyes. So this whole FASD thing I called him Benny Hulo. It was impulsivity, it was addictive behavior, it was all those things that would destroy you if you allowed that to run your life. But I got to know those things. I got to understand them from a science, from a medical perspective, if you want to say, call it that. And to understand it that way allowed me to say, okay, now I know what it is. What am I going to do about it? And then that's how, once I understood it and started putting up boundaries and management and everything, that's when the peace came. And there was no more turmoil anymore, because I know what was the cause of it. And I put up these boundaries around it. It worked.
And Marcel, is there anything I might have missed that you'd like to add?
I think I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm really happy to see you again, Robert. I appreciate the times that I've chatted with you over the years and some of the neatest little places, great memories, and to see and hear what you're doing, it's really, really cool. I'm happy for you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.